Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Khoj Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation for the day follows. Rag Gauri Purbi Mahalla Panjava Ik Oankar Satgur Prasad Kin Bidh Milai Gusai Dere Ram Rai कोई ऐसा संत सहज सुख दाता मोह मार्ग दे बताई रहाओ अंतर अलख न जाई लखया विच पड़दा हूँ मैं पाई माया मोह सबो जग सोया एह परम कहूँ क्यों जाई एका संगत इकत ग्रह बसते बिल बात न करते भाई एक बस्त बिन पंच दुहेले ओ बस्त यगोचर ठाई जिसका ग्रह तिन दिया ताला कुंजी गुर सो पाई अनेक उपाव करे नहीं पावै बिन सतगुर सरणाई जिनके बंधन काटे सतगुर तिन साध संगत लिव लाई पंच जना मिल मंगल गाया हर नानक भेद ना पाई मेरे राम राय इन बिध मिलै गुसाई सहज भया परम खिन मह नाठा मिल ज्योति ज्योत समाई मेरे राम राय इन बिध मिलै गुसाई सहज भया परम खिन मह नाठा बिल ज्योति ज्योत रलाई. The Guru continues with the theme of the method, the way to the self, addressed differently as Har, as Gusai in this particular passage. Kin Bidh Milai Gusai Mere Ram Rai. So the question is, through what precepts and by which prescriptive rules can I reach my Gusai self, who is also the all-pervasive supreme sovereign, Ram Rai. So we notice here a bit of a hierarchy, although it is just all one continuum. The all-pervading Ram existing in us as the Gosai, and we, of course, the mind, that wanting to connect with the self first before we can get to the Supreme Sovereign. As I've said, it's really a conceptual difference rather than any real difference. So the Guru says, Kin Bidh Milai Gusai Mere Ram Rai. And he responds. He says, Koi aisa sant sahaj sukhdata mohe marg de bataye. Koi aisa sant sahaj sukhdata. So the way is shown, he says, by the Sant Enlightener. This is the Satgur, who is in a state of Sahaj and has reached physical perfection in the expression of Sukh. Sukh is physical perfection, when you're happy. Sahaj is the state of being at natural ease. So these qualities belong to the Satgur. And these are the qualities that the Satgur bestows upon us through its teachings, knowledge, wisdom. So the Guru is clarifying for us how this works. The Gur. Koi aisa sant sahaj sukh data mohe marg de batai. Actually, in this question is the answer, because he says, is there such a Sant who is in this state of Sahaj and Sukhadatta, who is the giver of Sukh, can such a Satgur tell me the way? So the same one exists, as we said, in the self, and the self manifests as the Satgur within and reveals self-knowledge. And to manifest the Satgur within requires guidance, because our sensory organs are doped and duped by the material world, and the Guru alludes to this. Antar alakh na jai lakhya, which parda haume pai, maya moh sabo jag soya, eh param kahu kahu jai. So within the visible mind and the body, the structure, this human structure, within this human structure, antar, is the presence of Gusai, of that self, which is not perceptible, because haume veils it, parda haume pai, the senses really wall it off. Now let's see what that means. Maya mo sabo jag soya, eh param kahu kyun jai. Because haume is attracted to the world of the senses, the Guru Arjan says the world is asleep in attachment to Maya. How do I break out of this delusion? So we have to understand that what is going on here, haume, or the conditioned ego self, is really nothing more, as we saw in the previous passage. It is cultural conditioning that programs us into acting and behaving in predictable ways. In other words, it traps us into the mediocrity of socially approved achievements. But the self is perfection, the field of infinite potential. So we can't perceive it by the senses because it has to be created, but it can be conceived. So in practical terms, what that means is that we must always be on the road to perfection, which is not achievable, but conceivable. So therefore, this becomes a lifelong journey of learning and aspiring to increasingly higher realms of perfection. That's what a Sikh is. It's a developmental process. It's not a destination. So we have to apprentice ourselves to the Gur, and that will take us incrementally and radically at the same time to higher levels of perfection. And the irony, the Guru says, is Eka Sangat Ikat Grah Baste, Mil Baat Na Karte Pai, Ek Bast Bin Panch Duhele, O Bast Agochar Thai. And that's the irony. My brethren, he says, they, meaning the self and the mind, they live together in the human structure, but do not communicate. And without that connection with the self, the senses are duhele, remain uneasy. So we are all subjected to the sense of things not quite being satisfactory. So the Guru says, Ek bast bin panch duhele. So unless we address that, unless we break through our addiction to repeating the same cultural software over and over again, the senses become dull and a sense of not being satisfactory prevails. That's the irony here. And he's giving us a hint here in the next verse by saying, Jiska grah tine diya tala, kunji gur saupai. Anik upav kare nahi pave bin satgur saranai. Many methods have been tried, have retried, but the owner of the house, namely the Creator, has locked it. The code is locked and placed the key in the keep of Gur wisdom, which is also within. So we need guidance on how to unlock that code. And that is through the teachings of the Enlightener that have come to us presently as embodied text. So the Satgur becomes the key to access that invisible code within that'll open the doors to perfection. Panch Jana mil Mangal Gaya, Har Nanak Ped na pai. That is what happens when Jinke Bandhan Kate Satgur, then Sad Sangat Levelai. Those whom the Satgur frees from bondage, they are taught to center the mind within the environment of evolved individuals. So mind centering, dhyan, attention, suniye, as Guru Nanak says, is what is taught. And once that happens, the senses are revived in a manner of speaking, because it is vivifying. The wall of separation is demolished. Har Nanak Ped na pai. And then they celebrate this coming together, the senses. Mangal is auspicious. Mangalagaya. In other words, they act as they are supposed to. They function as designed. And so the Guru concludes by saying, Mere Ram Rai in Bidh Milai Gusai. This is the method. This is the method for connecting with the self and ultimately connecting with the universal creator. Sahaj bhaya param khin mahe nata. In an instant, the delusion vanishes and the light blends with light. Jyoti Jyot Samai. The self within unites with the all-pervading, supreme, sovereign, the Ram. That is the process. On that note, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.